Welcome back to the PS Podcast. I know it's been many months, but we're going to have a little informal interview just between Paul and me to catch you guys up with what's been going on.
True. We're going to leave that just as it is.
No, I forgot. I asked you the first question.
That's right.
How come I introduced if I have to ask the first question?
It's a great look into real life. There we go. This is why all our videos are so heavily edited.
Okay, Paul. Sorry, I have to catch my breath. Can we start off?
No.
Please.
This is the beauty of long form.
This is your torturing me. Okay. Whew. Collect myself. So, Paul, can you please share with our lovely audience why we haven't produced a video in so long?
Well, there's a few reasons. One is we were trying to make really high quality videos with iPhones and other things, which are really good, but it takes a lot of effort. Now, the reason why we started doing that at all is because we used to do traditional newsletters, and then they came out with new technology where you could see who actually reads those newsletters. And when we send out 220 something other letters and 5% get opened, that doesn't quite make it worth the effort. Now, it's interesting that the reverse was kind of true with the videos. When we released it, we got a lot of people saying, these are so helpful and so good. But the amount of effort is pretty astronomical. So we're trying to find a sweet spot. That's all the behind the scenes technical stuff of why we haven't done it in so long.
Hold on. I have something to add.
Please do.
We also moved away from traditional newsletter writing because there was a certain someone that did all that writing who also had 4 children. And so we were trying to think of a way to make the effort a little more delegated and equal. And just, it turns out it works better if we both do it together. And then, yeah, it becomes a big old production.
Mm-hmm. So we're trying to find a sweet spot. We're probably going to try doing every once in a while more of a long form video like this, and then maybe just 1-minute updates in between them.
And maybe you guys can cheer me on. My thought is to have a little more regularity and personal touches, is having an Instagram that gives you guys updates or something equivalent on YouTube in short reels or highlights, so that you guys can know in an instant what to pray for or what's happening or what big crises is taking place with our family.
Speaking of crises, my first question, which I had prepared because I have the laptop and don't have to memorize things, was I was going to ask what has been either the most or some of the most challenging things over the last 4 years serving in Thailand.
Where do I start? I think I shared with many of our supporters, our friends, our family, that it was actually really hard for me to move to Thailand to begin with, because I felt like it was not what I thought God was calling us to the field to do. Like, we had another country of service that we had to leave during COVID. Bet you can guess which one. And then the doors never reopened for us to go back. And so for me, there was a long grieving period, and I do believe I went through all the cycles of grief that are described, equal to losing a loved one. And so I was angry, and I was shocked, and I was in despair over losing not just a country, but a people that we loved. We studied the language very intently. And then I was just not interested to start again with a new language and in a new location with its own unique conditions, climate, and culture. But God slowly wooed me back to just representing him as his ambassador and as his witness wherever I am. I didn't even speak the language until the last year, but even now I speak very poorly. I am studying Thai, but I think my struggle through it all was in the grief cycle of losing what I thought was our calling. We also had 4 kids and their emotions through all the transitions. And then we birthed yet a 4th child in Thailand that ended up having medical emergency after another. All of our kids have been hospitalized. All have had near-death experiences. Paul has had near-death experiences. And lucky me, I get to not just bear the brunt of it, but I think what often goes overlooked for the strong support person is there needs to be like a moment to breathe from all of that like whiplash of like we're at death's door and like okay, we're okay. And that just happened to me so many times, like a yo-yo. So much, in fact, that I can say this on the other side of it now. I went through postpartum depression. At the same time, my kids were getting hospitalized, and other colleagues we know lost teammates, like who physically died. And since we've been on the field, we have known more family members die, sadly. There's no other way to put it. Maybe I should put a trigger warning on this. That it just felt like grief upon grief upon grief that I've not been able to process until now. And actually, it started in Chiang Mai when I got professional mental help. But all that to say, your question was, what has been the most challenging thing in serving in Thailand? I think for me, it was honestly me dragging my feet through the process. And what I've been wanting to tell people for a long time and have shared with very few trusted people is the only way I can process the grief of losing our first field assignment, because we were dedicated to a specific unreached people group that is less than 0.07% Christian. And so in a way we like spiritually adopted what we hoped would be spiritual children that would also have their own spiritual children and therefore my spiritual grandchildren, etc., etc. I had this long-term vision for an entire people group to be saved by village, by city, by district. It has felt like losing a child. And thankfully, God has never entrusted that specific burden to me. But that's the only analogy I can use to process my grief. Oh, let's think of a new question.
You did good.
So Paul, what are you doing right now? Where are we? And how are you spending your time?
Oh, it's a lot of questions. Right now, we are in our trailer on my in-laws' farm in California. I'll leave it there. We are doing this. We're letting people know what we've been up to and what we hope to continue to do. I've been preaching, sharing in various churches, helping out with homeschool with our 4 kids. One of them goes to school twice a week at a lovely co-op, but then there's the rest of the time where they are still children that need help. So yeah, I've been really enjoying sermon writing when I have time and when I get to preach. It's been great. Getting time with my kids is fun and exhausting. Any of you have parents of 4 completely understand, I'm sure. And then we're just figuring out where would God have us share next, which is a good plug. If any of you know people that are interested in missions or are looking to go dive deeper into either supporting or just have questions about missions in general, I love talking and sharing about it. My passion is still for another country, and I love encouraging people who don't look like me who can go there still. So yeah, any questions, I love talking about that stuff.
I think what Paul is failing to mention is that we are strategizing new ways to also expand our reach and hopefully our support network. What we have realized since being in the US is that every church has their own app now. Everybody is chronically online. And so that is why we are forcing ourselves to get with the times and operate in this format on this platform so that people would have something to play on their commute. I have also become this mom. I spend 2 to 3 hours a day in a car where you can just like follow along by audio rather than sitting down and reading through pages of prayer requests. But also, it seems to me that this is how you guys best like to receive information.
Yeah. I mean, that leads into my question of what has been the most surprising thing being back in the States for a few months now. Things that seem different this time around.
Like, I wanted a softer landing into these topics because something that I will hopefully eventually try to take, invest time to take off is making observations about the Western Church, having been on the field since 2012. So what is that, like almost 14 years now? Whew. Yeah. So many things have changed since we first were commissioned and sent off. Paul has shared with others before that was the time missions was in vogue. Like we grew up hearing about the 1040 window and how we can see all the unreached people groups reached in our lifetime. And there was a big push to support anyone who wanted to go abroad, short-term or long-term, and that was a priority for the church. Now, it doesn't seem that way so much, and I am speculating on why that is. There are probably many factors, including COVID, which ruined everything for everybody and every enterprise, and just, limited international relations or understanding or trust. And then there's a lot of politics going on. Sure. And sadly, the church is not above it. Like, I think the church is very much informed by their politics or the politics of the church leadership, which is sad because when you are not, when you live as a nomad, like missionaries do, I think it's much easier to take a perspective of how none of these places on earth that we might call home is our forever home, and we are citizens of heaven first and foremost before we are like Americans, Republicans, Democrats, etc.
Yeah. I mean, that goes for me too. I think I've been a little surprised at how it's either A or B. Your team A or your team B, and you just align yourself with that. And I think for us, being a third party kind of out over the ocean, as it were, we tend to look at things more as, well, we serve a king, and we want to do all we can to serve him. And so that informs our politics, rather than we choose our politics and we fit our king into that. And I know no one would actually express it that way. It's just how that comes across with the conversations I've had. It's very hard to, I don't want to say nonpartisan, but in any topic, to critique even your side and to be able to do that honestly has been a rarity. And maybe it's always been a struggle. Maybe we're just older and we notice it more now. But I definitely feel like it has dominated a lot of our time in churches too. That politics seems to be informing their Christianity rather than Christianity informing the politics. And that might just be, again, where we are in time, in age, in our area, very locally. But it's just something I've also noticed is true. Yeah.
So I have to think of another question for you.
I don't have to.
He's
if you have any
cheating.
questions.
He gets a laptop.
I do.
Ah, okay. Let's think of something light. what has been some of your most enjoyable memories from our last term?
Oh, wow.
He also said I wasn't allowed to pre-know the questions, so there was a sense of spontaneity in this interview.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, not knowing the questions ahead of time. I didn't mean you had to think of the questions on the spot, but that's one also... You could take it that way, too. Sure. Sure. No, sorry. Things that I enjoyed over the last 2 years.
4.
Well, you said the last 2. But yes, 4.
I meant term.
You meant term. 4. Oh, 4 is easier. I think having a place where, yes, life in general is very hard. It's very, very hot, very humid, constant mold, constant pipes exploding, all the things. But there's parts of childhood that I had, you know, just going outside, exploring, running around the woods, that I don't see my fellow parents exposing their kids to as much. Like, you know, my kids will go catch bugs in their backyard all the time, but the bugs might be like a rhino beetle and a praying mantis, or they find a snake, or a giant spider is hiding behind her onions. So those are just fun things the kids get to do. Jemima's famous for shoving snails into her pockets and showing us later.
For those of you who don't know, she's our only girl.
Our only girl. She just loves
with
snails.
the snails. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I think having that time where they get to go explore. Granted, we don't just go camping in the jungle because we'll die.
And I don't camp.
And she doesn't camp. But yeah, you don't just go wandering off into the woods. I had a buddy who did that, and he said, I forgot the first rule of wandering in the woods is you'd never stop moving. And he stopped moving, and ants immediately started eating into his leg. So yeah, that part's still scary. But the exploring and the just living a fun childhood in the midst of chaos has been a great joy for me to do with my kids. Or, you know, going to a calmer place, not manicured, what do you call that? Like...
Curated?
Curated, she knows.
Manicurated.
Yeah, you know, sorry. No, a curated space. Like, there's some really cute play places where it's like a... I don't want to say a kid's restaurant. It's a restaurant built so that the kids can play while the adults actually talk. So there's a few places where we currently live, maybe 15, 20 minutes away, where it could be on a mountainside and you can eat while your kids go either watch elephants or pet elephants, feed them for like a buck.
With trainers.
Yeah, with trainers. They're not
safe.
just like free roaming. It's safe. I do kind of miss that combination of we are going to prioritize all parts of the family rather than we're going to drive half an hour to spend a lot of money to eat food while kids usually just play on their iPads, or you tell them, like, just be quiet, food's coming. That's always a struggle.
Apparently this is Paul's impression of life in America.
Sorry. Anyway.
He's not wrong.
Yeah, I think I miss those parts. Yes, it's very hard, but there is some wonder in God's creation that I miss being able to explore freely with them. Yeah. I could hand that back over to you with my pre-curated question of what have been your greatest joys raising our 4 kids overseas / teaching dance to other third culture kids, which we might need to have a whole episode on what third culture kids are. But, yeah.
Or what dance ministry I'm a part of.
Yeah.
Wowee. I think similarly, I enjoy raising our kids in what seems like an older time. I think it's possible with a great amount of effort to do an analog childhood, even in America, if you so choose. But there are so many other communal, aspects at play that make that more challenging. Like we have so much more concern for like child safety, and I'm not saying we're not concerned for child safety, but when you live in a small neighborhood, like we literally live in a square block of houses, and I could tell you all the children's names of our local Thai neighbors. because we actually outnumber them. We have 4 in our own home, and there's 1 down the road who's an only child. There's 2, oh, actually, not quite yet. There's 2 in one house and 2 in another house. And I know I could literally yell from my window, come home, and they would be, hopefully listening to me and responding and obeying.
Ideally.
But anyway, my point is, when you raise children in a very I don't know, rustic environment? Can we call it that?
Sure.
I feel like there is that childhood wonder that we had when we were allowed to just take our bikes around town and come home before it was dark. So yes, that has been very enjoyable. And I know all my kids' friends. So apart from the people they play with in our neighborhood, because we are the only foreigner and Christian family, they have made really strong friendships with other third culture kids, TCKs, at the school where Paul works and where the 2 oldest ones attend. And just the level of depth in their relationship, I feel like gives me hope for my kids' future. Like the common complaint about Gen Z and younger now is that, kids can't even look you in the eye when they hold a conversation, or kids don't know how to make friends, or young adults don't know how to date or, pursue a partner. My kids, kind of like how we grew up, can spend hours on the phone talking to a good friend about hey, you want to invent this video game together? And again, all this to say, I think just comes from the level of they've experienced a lot. They have all traveled overseas. They have all said goodbye very tearfully to loved ones. So they know, I think they just have a innate sense of what is valuable and what is important. They have already experienced hardships in the world, even at tender ages. And so they still have fun, but they can also get serious about I want to invest in this friendship, and I want to know who this God is that's so important to my parents, and know him for myself, and also start my own relationship with him. Actually, I should have started there. That's where I see all my kids. That is the most precious thing to me, is seeing how each of one of our kids knows God, are unabashed about their very young faith, will tell other kids in the street, we don't say that word, or we don't celebrate that holiday. Yeah. Maybe at times to my embarrassment, because maybe it's not culturally acceptable, and it definitely wouldn't be here, but I feel like they are just in the know of the truth, and what, like I said, that heavenly mindset.
Yeah.
And they're better preachers than I am, I guess.
And in case you're wondering, our 10-year-old is not a savant making his own video game. When she
He's
says
imagining it.
They imagine the rules of a game, and then they play said game in their brains communally. It's quite an interesting thing to watch. I
don't even know why I talked about that.
Well,
but shout out to the family that knows exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's, we can talk about our kids that way, but honestly, people have even said we're a good bit changed too. And when we meet people, they tend to say, "Well, you guys go deep fast." Right. Mm-hmm. And I think, again, it could be that we've had a few brushes a little close to the, I forget what they call it now. I'll just say death, and we'll edit it out later. But
unalived.
Yes,
unalived is the term.
Yeah. You get close enough to unalived that you start taking life much more seriously, or in a different way. I've caught myself doing that too. Hey, by the way, I'm saying this not just as a small talk thing. I actually care about you, and thankfully that one person's yeah, I could kind of tell you actually meant it. which one was heartwarming, and then the other's like, does that mean most of the time you don't know that people actually care? But again, I get it. If you are caught up in just getting by today, and you are floating in the drift of doom scroll and politics, and the saddest thing I've heard from a lot of people my age is they just don't have friends. That there's no sense of community or friendship, and they're all looking for a safe space. And sadly, many of them have had bad church experiences. They don't feel like they can trust that. They don't feel like they can trust bars either, so they're just lonely. But I think that's, a joy. It's both a joy and a sadness. A joy that we have those things and we're making them here also as we touch and go. But then also when you're like, that's one way we can partner with our American friends is say, hey, let's pray about this. Let's pray that you find a good brotherhood, a good sisterhood where you can have discipleship. You can grow together. You can do life together. You can have each other pull the reins in a little bit and say like, hey, maybe, those 10 extracurricular activities are a bit much for your kids or for yourself.
Oh, you're speaking hate speak to the American family now, Paul.
I know. And we'll go back and forth about this because I had a remarkably ordinary day-to-day life where I remember we signed up because I was homeschooled. So we signed up for PE like once a month or something. I don't remember. It was not often. It might have been once a week. And that was it. Like the rest of the week is just do schoolwork, maybe have a friend over this weekend, play with Legos and siblings. That's it. It was a very chill, steady life. And I didn't mind that. And then for her, it's like, we have a free day. How many things can we go out and do? Let's go to the park. Let's go do this thing. And so it's probably good that our kids weren't stuck with either of us as the only one because they would die of boredom with me. And then maybe we'd all die of exhaustion with you. Who knows? But I'm speaking hyperbolic and in nonsense.
You mean unalived with exhaustion. By
Sorry, unalived with exhaustion. Anyway, I've signed myself up for a lot of editing apparently if I'm ever going to social mediaize this. But I think that's a fun start. We'll see. Let us know. Hey, if you want to participate in the curating of our questions, maybe next time if we have another PS table talk, we can take questions from the queue and answer your deepest burdens and maybe flounder, maybe succeed. But
have we been speaking for an hour?
Oh, I'm sure I've been speaking for more, and I'm definitely keeping that statement in.
I don't think it's true.
No, it's not. It's only been half an hour.
I know, and so I thought you wanted to do long form.
This is long form for us, okay? We got kids a-waiting. And we can ask more questions later. But I'm going to say we'll sign up for now for this time. And then either she will have more written questions next time or we'll have questions.
Did we even get anywhere?
We did. We got lots of wares.